Hi, everybody.
What up?
We are on day 10. Woo! Day 10, and we are diving deep into promises. So today's question is, how do you know if your promise is authentic or not?
Oh.
So you might be thinking, what do you mean? Well, yeah, that's a good question. How do you know if it is authentic or not? And the tip is, what is the tip?
The tip is, what is it? It's do you feel proud when you're fulfilling your promise?
And then if not,
there are gaps in your authenticity. Your promise reflects onto you. So basically, in short, when you are basing your decisions on your promise on a daily basis, you know you're fulfilling it when you feel your spirit is growing. You know you're not bending or not going against it when your emotions feel like they're getting stronger. You know, you start to feel like your legs, like your arms, your body starts to be more anchored and more grounded in yourself. And it would be hard and very challenging and difficult to move you because you are so centered in your promise or in your couple or 2 or 3 promises that you base all your decisions off of.
yeah.
Because this is here goes a tip, you know, for people just in life in general. You know, you're one of the indicators that you have a really authentic promise is that it can encompass everything in your life, whether it's your spouse, your partner, your kids, your friends, your family that you grew up with. Those promises will be in line and they will correlate with those relationships, and they will all work in sync and work in tandem. You see, so that would be an indicator that your promise is authentic and that it feels real to you. And right? here's another thing. Your heart dances. You know, it feels giddy. You know, you feel like a kid, and you have that feeling, that spirit that you had when you were younger, and it hasn't gone away, or it hasn't faded to the point where you just don't feel like yourself. So that's another indicator. You don't feel like you.
Yes.
If your promise is not authentic. So I'm gonna throw it over because, like normal, I'm speaking out of turn and I speak a little too much. So quick.
No, it's great. You speak like you're really explaining how we can really take a look at our promises that we've been making for a while or recently, or the one that you did decide to make during these journal prompts to see if it's really authentic.
Yeah.
Because your decisions, right, it can lead you somewhere healthy or somewhere unhealthy.
Toxic, right?
Toxic,
and,
yes.
and since you mentioned that, I'm going to give you a question real quick, because one of the stories that you have, you know, in your life is your promises were made to significant others.
Yes,
You
so
know, your promise
was
was grounded in pleasing them.
Yes, and making it work. Being committed to basically only them.
Exactly.
Them and work, probably. That was the commitments, because I would show up to it every day.
Right. And would you say that when you made those type of promises, did you feel like your spirit was strong? Did you feel like yourself? Did you feel like you were in harmony? Did you feel like you were at peace?
No.
See, and
it was only temporary. So my promise fed my instant gratification.
There it goes.
Because when I was committed to my past partners, there was no me in there, really.
Right.
It was all to gain something from them, to feel loved and to be seen. It wasn't for me to grow authentically, to be myself, which shut my family out. It was, the focus was on gaining that love, to keep that love in my life, And looking back, that's how I know that was not authentic, because in the end it drained me than anything.
Right.
Made me unhappy. It caused a lot of fights, emotional roller coasters up and down, and I could just see that me and my family were just furthering more apart, and there was just more tension, fights, and I did not want to be home. Versus my promise today, which was to be my own best friend, and from making my decisions off of that promise, I can see that it built bridges to heal my family relationships, and I can see that me and some family members are getting closer. There goes. I feel proud more often with making decisions off of that promise versus my old promise, which was being committed to my partner.
Right.
Yeah.
There it goes. So what would you say was the turning point, for realizing that the promise, the vow that you made was not correct, and that you needed to adjust, you needed to make some drastic change?
Yeah, it was pains leading up to my breakup, and even like after the breakup with my last relationship. How do I say that? I just saw that as long as I'm connected to this individual, there's heartbreak.
Yeah.
There's heartbreak. There's no proud feelings. There's not that feeling of like confidence and like self-worth. I want to speak, mostly self-worth.
Yeah.
And I'll just share a little.
And that's an indicator right there. Sorry to cut you off. An indicator that you know that your promise is not authentic is when your self-worth, your confidence is shaken and it is non-existent. Basically, if it's that low and the vibes and the energy is that low and your spirit is that weak, and you put up the front like a lot of us do, it just goes to indicate that for a very long time we have been making decisions on a promise or an unconscious promise or feelings or something that is not us. And that's why it has wilted to the place where we are now.
Yeah.
See, when our promise is authentic and we keep making the decisions daily to reinforce that, we start to feel strong and anchored. We start to believe that what we are doing matters.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's an indicator. That is an indicator.
Yeah, and you start to trust yourself more. There's a lot of layers underneath that when you commit to an authentic promise.
Right.
You start to trust yourself more, and you feel confident that self-worth goes up.
Yeah.
And no wonder certain relationships are mending, or you're able to really navigate and process and filter certain things with the relationships better because you're growing. You have the space.
Exactly. Because you hear it all the time, right? Self-help books and self-help talks. Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Right.
That is the issue. That is the elephant in the room. It is challenging to trust yourself when your promise, your vow, isn't there.
Yeah.
It isn't there. How are you going to trust yourself and your foundation if it's not there?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
For sure. But yeah, unauthentic promises and authentic promises. Huge difference.
Exactly.
So I love this because you can just, based on how you've been feeling, the decisions that you make, what is it catering to,
Yeah.
What are you basing it off of? And if you're not growing from that, then there's a gap.
Exactly.
Like the tip there, right? There's a gap in your authenticity.
Authenticity. Because they always say don't hide, let your light shine. But it is
it's really hard to do that when you don't trust yourself.
Very easy to say. It's very, very easy to say. And so many people and individuals that have made it a certain way, with success financially, they can hide their gaps. They can hide the insecurities because that's what money does. It hides what we're deficient in. So Yeah, man, it's quite something.
Yeah, it makes you think about the people who are shining their light, if they're actually authentic or not. And you can learn a lot from people and protect yourself in this way, because if you have someone near you, you can literally just watch their actions.
Yeah.
And you know,
and that's the thing, because I believe that's where we're gonna cover the components to.
Yes, that's the next video.
Next video.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the next video. There, as you can see in your journal, there's a visual.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go into that in the next question, because those graphics relate to day 11. I mean.
Right. So we'll just segue into it. So now that you are aware of the indicators of why our spirit, our feelings, our self-consciousness about ourselves not being as strong and confident as we know we should be, now that we know one of the reasons why we feel that way is because our vow, our promise, isn't real.
Yeah.
It isn't there. And then, just like because we're segueing into to self-love, the practice, the action that continuously that will reinforce your vow and your authentic promise is your self-love. And that's what's gonna keep building it and keep growing it. Because if you don't, remember, life doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And all it does, it just wants to take from you. It wants to tear down everything that we want to build for ourselves. It is continuous. It never stands still. And that's why it needs to be done daily.
Yeah.
Because you can feel great today. You can feel the best you've ever felt. And when you go to sleep, you wake up the next day and you don't feel the same. You don't feel the same. If you haven't been practicing, that whole great feeling you had the day before would more than likely be gone. If you've been practicing for a while, you'll still feel pretty good, but you won't have the strength and the great vibes that you had the day before exactly the way it was. That's why you need to practice, so you can keep rekindling the fire. Just like fire goes out. Your fire is your self-love.
Yeah.
Your fire is
Cultivate
that fire, your self-love. So
yeah.
please really, really think about, and this is what I would like you guys to write about. Write about what you've been making your decisions off of. Like, what has been your authentic promise? Or what has been your promise or vow? Has it been to you, or has it been to others? That would be the first thing. Now that you know or are aware of what an authentic promise is, write about what that could be for you right now, and then see what you can write to reinforce that. All right?
Yes. And again, if you guys are struggling, we are here. You can literally message us or leave a comment down on this video. And yeah, we will see you guys live Saturday, 5 o'clock. Remember, that's every single Saturday.
Yep.
And
always love from me to you.
We'll see you on day 11.
That's a quick win for the win. Excuse me for the burps. And stay magical. Mwah.